Pituitary adenoma.
Astrocytoma.
Hydrocephalus.
Medulloblastoma.
Medulloblastoma. Glio.
Whoa!
Anaplastic glioneuroastrocytoma.
Supercellular germinoma.
When I was a kid, I collected baseball cards, and for me this meant that every portrait on the front was just an invitation to turn the card over and learn every detail of every pitch and every hit, every at-bat, and savor and memorize all the details of each player's life. Each card had a value of its own that needed to be recognized. I think in some strange way I came to see the world as a place where in a way every person gets their own card. I picked up a camera to be able to see what would be on the other side, or better said, on the inside. Patient Voice is a photo-based project about an amazing group of young people we met at the Children's Brain Tumor Foundation. I forgot that we met them there, as I think of them as Jeremiah the graffiti artist, James the writer, Stephen the photographer, Kayla the amazing, Brian the snowboarder, Tom terrific, Mark the heavy metal future filmmaker, and Rosalie the artist who always says, "Yeah, man." In this project, we asked them to tell us about their lives, specifically as they intersected with the world of medicine, the good, the bad, their diagnosis, and finally what keeps them going. It feels odd to call the project Patient Voice, as we know everyone as a person, not as a patient, but of course, that's one of the points of the work. So here's our group in their own words and images.
So I was diagnosed when I was 8, and this is a picture of when they first took my bandage off, and the first words out of my mouth were, "It looks like a baseball." And then 2 days later, my best friend at the time came and visited me. He said, my mom was thinking, "Oh God, hope they're not afraid of it or anything." And first thing out of his mouth was, "Cool, it looks like a baseball." And ever since then, the first time I saw the picture, it freaked me out a little bit because I wasn't used to seeing it. But now it's a funny story, and it kind of makes me laugh every time I hear it.
So the interesting thing about kids is that I think they always think like kids no matter what, whether they're going through something medically or not. For example, one of my memories of going to the hospital is my mom would always get me a Beanie Baby every time that we went. One of my memories from the day I had brain surgery was that one of the doctors, before I went in, she had me draw on her mask so I would recognize which doctor was her amongst all the other ones. And this is also from when I had my surgery. As an 8-year-old, I wondered how they were going to put my head back together. And so the answer I came up with was glue.
In my photo, I understand my diagnosis as everything happening in bunches. When I was diagnosed, I was currently in the transition period between high school and college. And in my photo, I have my patient belongings, my diagnosis, my college ID of the first photo I took before I underwent surgery, and then my college degree to show everything that's happened in my life afterwards.
This photo I took is for the my diagnosis part. I took it to depict who I am now and who I was before my cancer diagnosis. I had a brain tumor, supercellular germinoma, and it took away a substantial part of my vision. And without my glasses, I'm blind. So it was a real challenge for me. And I see it now as kind of a retrospective image because it's me looking into the past and the future and the present all at once.
So this is a picture of my radiation mask. I went up to Boston for 6 weeks after my operation and received radiation and chemo therapy. This all I can remember about this is the smell of the almost burning plastic it smelled like, and they would try and cover it up, but the smells would just mix together and it would cause a worse smell.
So this photo is a picture of my hand holding my broken bracelet to symbolize freedom, because back when I was diagnosed, I was in the hospital like a lot, and I'd always just break off those annoying little hospital bands, and they've always getting more because you're not supposed to have hospital bands in the hospital. Who knew? So I feel like those were sort of like a chain that would keep me in the hospital. So now that I'm finally out of the hospital, I feel like I'm free.
My mom is the strongest person when I had cancer. She is someone I look up to, 'cause she never brings me down. She's always by my side, and she's my hero when it comes through my diagnosis and all the BS that I've been through in the hospital. She's always there. I can always count on her. She's the only person who knows English in my family, and I respect that, 'cause she's a smart person.
Supercellular germinoma.
Once more.
That's all the heroic thing I have in me. Okay.
Heroicness.
Supercellular germinoma.
Got it.
Okay.
I'm trying to talk about the loss of control I felt. There's a lot of reasons I felt it. That's the problem. Either, due to medications, either how I felt emotionally, what physically happened and still happens to my body. I just feel I have an immense loss of control over, those things. I very much have felt like my childhood was split at the time of my diagnosis, before and after, and I even make a frame of reference for things, of anything that happened to my life before diagnosis, after diagnosis.
A bad part from the world of medicine was when I was in the hospital for nearly a year. After my surgery, I could not walk, talk, or eat. As an inpatient in the hospital, I had to get a new IV and a feeding tube every day.
We took a picture of a clock because waiting is a big part of medical, and I've learned to dislike waiting a lot, because it's like you get the MRI, then you have to wait, and you're sitting in a tube for like 45 minutes. If nothing goes wrong, if you don't get sick, if you don't get cramps in your legs, if the IV works right, if you can find a vein, then you wait in the waiting room for the film or the CD. Then you go and get something to eat. Then you wait again to go to the doctor's office, and then you're waiting more to see the doctor. And then, of course, you see the doctor, but you still have to wait because he takes 5 minutes to look at the films and say absolutely nothing. And that is why I took a picture of a clock. And waiting sucks.
Worst thing about the world of medicine, side effects. I recently had to take Delzacol and ciprofloxacin. The Delzacol was fine, but the Cipro did terrible things to me. It made me tired all the time, had pain in my stomach all the time, and go through bouts of depression. The world was dark. Luckily, I'm off Cipro now and feeling much better.
The bad part about medicine is the red tape. It seems like people know what their health problems are and they understand their body better sometimes than the doctors do. And the doctors seem to focus on figuring out their own diagnosis rather than listening to the patient describing what's hurting them.
This is a photo of my nurse Mary and I. I have been diagnosed since 1988 and still go back and forth for annual checkups and scans. Now, whenever I go back, all faces are new to me, new doctors and nurses. Mary has been there with me since day one. She has always been there to take care of all of my medical needs. Either I was an inpatient or outpatient, she would always come just to say hi and ask about my family and I. Sometimes knowing and being able to see a familiar face who knows all my history makes me feel better.
One of the positive things in the world of medicine for me would have to be the transition as a patient, as a cancer survivor, to the place that doesn't only treat you as a patient but as a person. And my image is of me displaying 3 of my photos at the 60th annual Patient Art Show. It was a really proud moment for me, and it was a moment where I felt like a regular person, even though I was still in the hospital, and it was something that I won't forget.
The good part of medicine is life. If medicine works out and it all helps you, then it gives you more life. Like, it makes your life longer. And you could experience many things in life, like heartbreak, love, friendship, everything. So, yeah, life is awesome. So, medicine is awesome.
So the running theme in my life has been the feeling loss of control. I know I talked about that in my bad part about the world of medicine. On the opposite end, I've had doctors that I felt like they gave me that control. Sometimes they would just make me a part of the process. They would really validate my concerns instead of making it seem like it wasn't important. I had one experience in particular where there was a type of medication I had to go on that I was very hesitant about, and my doctor gave me options. She says, go research, come back with what you found out and what you think, and we'll talk about it. And that meant the world to me.
Photography is what keeps me breathing. It's my main source of hope, something I thought I had lost when I was diagnosed with my brain tumor in 2003. That summer in the hospital, I broke down mentally and physically, and slowly disconnected from the world. It was a long road to recovery, but in 2010 I started taking pictures and took life back. Photography had become an obsession. I reconnected with life in my own way, capturing everything around me, as if to make up for the 7 years I had lost. I feel reborn, rebuilt, and refueled. It was the only medicine that really cured me.
One thing that keeps me going is life, that you never know what the future's gonna hold for you.
What keeps me going is my creativity, and in this picture I created origami with money, and I think it's pretty awesome. It represents Mount Rushmore, but I call it Mount Awkwardness. Awkwardness, 'cause it's awesome.
I chose this drawing of a flower, and it represents life to me.
My picture is me climbing the butte before and after. What keeps me going is willpower, traction, survival instinct, and personal growth. I believe that when you climb the mountain, cellularly, you're a certain person, and then once you reach the top, you're a different person because your cells change over a certain period of time, and the viewpoint is different from the top and bottom.
Something that keeps me going is knowing that no matter what happens, good or bad, it is always temporary. Even the worst things that seem worse at the time can lead to something good.
What keeps me going is my CBTF and Can't Make a Dream family. Before I knew CBTF, I was a quiet guy and did not speak as much. Then I met Stacia, and all of that had changed. She had brought me to camp in Montana for nearly a week. During that week, it had changed my point of view at things. By coping, self-confidence, and encouragement from others. A while after, CBTF had asked me if I could fill in for one of the positions for the foundation. Of course I said yes with no doubt. No one has given me an opportunity like this ever since I became handicapped. Volunteering for all the events makes me happy. gives me more strength and more confidence to do other things, like meeting new people and actually being able to have a full conversation. Basically, when I am with my CPTF or camp family, it makes me more of a happier person and I have more self-confidence. And that is what makes me keep going.
It's just so weird because I forget he's there. He's right there.
Yeah, every time you look down, you're like, Tom.
Yeah.
Hi, Tom.
Don't take any offense, Tom.
What's up, Tom?
It could be anybody. Mark.
Mark says hi.
We need to get your picture.
See, Mark, you're good because I can't see you. I don't see like these little eyes looking at me. But
Okay.